Assassin's Creed 2 was released 15 years ago in November of 2009, and since then it has been considered by many to be one of the best entries to the Assassin's Creed series. Today I'll be doing what I did recently for the original Assassin's Creed to help give you a better idea to see if Assassin's Creed 2 is still worth your time in 2025. Before I begin, I just want to say that almost 98% of my viewers are unsubscribed, so if you want to see more Assassin's Creed content, then please consider subscribing to the channel for more. It's free, it only takes 1 second, and it's greatly appreciated. Assassin's Creed 2 is available on a wide range of platforms. The original release can be played on both Xbox 360 and PS3, while the remastered version, known as the Ezio Collection, was released for PS4 and Xbox One. This edition includes all DLC, enhanced visuals, and can also be played on the latest generation of consoles, as well as the Nintendo Switch. I initially started on the PC version, but eventually switched to PlayStation. Using a controller on PC wasn't as straightforward as simply plugging it in. It felt finicky and inconsistent. On console, it was much easier, so that's where I played. If you plan on playing with a controller on PC, keep in mind that you may need to install mods to improve the overall feel. Now let's dive into the story. Don't worry, I won't be revealing any major spoilers. Instead, I'll just share my overall thoughts and impressions, along with why I believe it still resonates so strongly today. I've played through the story of this game more times than I can count, and even after all the playthroughs, I can say with absolute certainty that it continues to hold up remarkably well. Assassin's Creed 2 is, in my opinion, the point at which the series truly found its identity, and began to establish the formula that would define it for years to come. When you step into the shoes of Ezio Auditore, you're not just handed the role of an assassin, you're introduced to a young man, a noble with a comfortable life, whose world is suddenly shattered by tragedy. What begins as a deeply personal story of loss and vengeance slowly evolves into something far greater. Through Ezio's eyes, you experience the transformation from a carefree, reckless teenager into one of the most memorable and iconic assassins in-game in history. Set against the backdrop of Renaissance Italy, a period bustling with art, culture, and political power struggles, the game immerses you in a world that feels alive and constantly in motion. As Ezio, you walk through the streets of Florence, Venice, and other iconic cities, each brimming with character and atmosphere. Along the way, you meet larger-than-life historical figures like Leonardo da Vinci, who become both a close friend and an invaluable ally, as well as Lorenzo de' Medici, a political powerhouse of the era. These encounters add richness and depth, grounding the fictional narrative in real-world history, while still giving it a sense of mystery and intrigue as you unravel the centuries-old conflict between the Assassins and the Templars. What truly elevates this story, even when compared to many modern games, is Ezio himself. Unlike many protagonists who can sometimes feel one-dimensional, Ezio is layered and complex. He's charming and charismatic with a wit that often lightens the mood, but he's also vulnerable and sometimes flawed in very human ways. As the player, you don't just watch his journey unfold, you feel as though you are living it alongside him. You see him born into privilege and witness the relationships that shape him into the man he becomes. His humour, his romances, his grief, and his relentless fight for justice all come together to make him a protagonist that you can't help but root for. And that's a big part of why his story continues to resonate so strongly with fans today. The pacing of the story deserves special mention as well. Unlike many games that rush you through the main focus of the game, Assassin's Creed 2 takes its time, allowing the world and characters to breathe. Missions build on one another, giving you a steady sense of progression that never feels forced or repetitive. By the time you reach the later stages of the game, it feels as though you've been part of a grand journey, rather than just checking off objectives. That gradual build-up of momentum gives the ending more impact, and leaves you with the sense that you've truly lived through a chapter of history, rather than simply playing through a video game narrative. This is also where Assassin's Creed 2 really sets itself apart from the original game. While the first Assassin's Creed had a solid foundation, it often fell into a repetitive loop of investigating and then eliminating targets. Assassin's Creed 2 takes that core idea and expands it dramatically. There's far more variety in both missions and gameplay, and the goals stretch well beyond simple assassinations. You're drawn into political schemes, family drama, hidden conspiracies, and a broader world full of secrets to uncover. Without giving away too much, the game makes sure you always feel like there's more happening than just a series of contracts. It's a living, evolving story where every action feels connected to the larger picture. In the end, that's why the story of Assassin's Creed 2 still stands out as one of the best in the series. It's not just about assassinations or history, it's about the journey of a character you come to care about deeply, set against a backdrop that's as fascinating as it is immersive. It balances spectacle and intimacy, grand historical events and personal struggles, and in doing so creates an experience that feels timeless. Ubisoft deserves a lot of credit for the improvements they made to the parkour system in Assassin's Creed 2. The core mechanics from the original game are still present, but nearly every aspect of the movement has been refined and polished, making the traversal feel far smoother and more satisfying. If you've seen my earlier video on whether the first game is still worth playing or not, you'll remember that one of my biggest criticisms was the clunky responsiveness of the parkour. In the original, it often felt like the game wasn't reacting the way you intended, and Ezio's predecessor, Altair, would frequently misinterpret your inputs, leading to frustrating mistakes. In Assassin's Creed 2, those issues are noticeably reduced. While Ezio occasionally does something slightly different than what you meant, it happens far less often, and the overall flow of climbing and freerunning feels much more natural. On top of those refinements, Ubisoft introduced a number of quality of life improvements that makes the parkour not only smoother but also more dynamic. For example, Ezio can climb faster than Altair, which might seem like a small tweak, but makes scaling tall structures far less tedious. Later in the story, you also unlock the ability to leap to higher ledges, a game-changing mechanic that makes climbing much more versatile. While this upgrade comes a little later in the main campaign, it's the kind of addition that makes you feel progressively more skilled as an assassin and adds another layer to the movement strategy. Perhaps the single biggest improvement though is Ezio's ability to swim. At first glance this might not seem like a groundbreaking addition, but it has an enormous impact on the gameplay. One of the main cities in the game is Venice, a location defined by its canals and waterways. If the developers had carried over the swimming restriction from the first game, where falling into water led to instant desync, it would have turned exploring Venice into a nightmare. Instead, swimming not only prevents frustration, but also opens up more opportunities for exploration, stealth, and creative movement across the city. It's such a simple feature, but it makes the game world feel infinitely more playable and believable. Combat also received an overhaul. In the original game, counters were essentially a one-hit kill against most enemies, which quickly became repetitive. Assassin's Creed 2 mixes things up by introducing a variety of enemy types, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. Some enemies are resistant to straightforward counters, forcing you to adjust your tactics. This added variety makes combat more engaging and prevents it from feeling like you're just repeating the same move over and over. Encounters feel like small puzzles, where figuring out how to take down different opponents keeps the action fresh and rewarding. Ezio's arsenal also expands significantly compared to Altair's. New tools such as the double hidden blades allow for stylish dual assassinations, while poison blades create moments of chaos as enemies swing their weapons wildly before collapsing. Smoke bombs add another layer of strategy, letting you vanish in the middle of a fight or set up quick assassinations in a crowd. These additions not only diversify the combat, but also give you a greater sense of freedom in how you approach different scenarios. The introduction of shops was another huge step forward for the series. Instead of being limited to whatever weapons the story handed you, you can now purchase a wide range of gear, from swords and maces to warhammers and daggers. Armour is also available for purchase as you progress, increasing your health whilst also changing Ezio's appearance. Personally, I stuck with the minimal armour because I preferred the look of Ezio's standard robes, even though it did leave me with a smaller health bar. Beyond weapons and armour, shops also allowed you to upgrade your pouches, expanding your ability to carry essential items like medicine, throwing knives, and poison vials. Another small but fun customization option is the ability to dye Ezio's robes. While the colours don't affect gameplay, they let you personalise Ezio to your liking. One of the most memorable additions, however, is the villa renovation system. Early in the game, you gain access to a family estate that serves as kind of a home base, and you can invest in upgrading both the villa itself and the surrounding town. While it's not as complex as the settlement systems introduced in later Assassin's Creed games, it was a fantastic addition for its time. Renovating shops and buildings not only improves the town visually, but also provides tangible rewards, discounts at vendors, a steady stream of income, and a greater sense of ownership over your progression. Even though you can't physically enter most of the renovated structures, the system adds depth and gives you something meaningful to work towards outside of the main story. Altogether, the gameplay improvements in Assassin's Creed 2 elevate the experience far beyond what the first game offered. Movement feels smoother, combat is deeper, tools are more varied, and the addition of shops and villa upgrades introduces an element of progression and customization that wasn't there before. All of these features come together to create a game that doesn't just fix the shortcomings of its predecessor, but also lays the foundation for what would become the signature formula of the Assassin's Creed franchise. The world of Assassin's Creed 2 is truly remarkable, one of the most immersive and memorable in the entire series. There are 4 major areas to explore: Florence, San Gimignano, Forlì and Venice, each with its own distinct architecture, atmosphere and sense of life. Florence is bustling and vibrant, filled with grand cathedrals and busy streets. San Gimignano feels more intimate and historic, with its iconic towers rising above the town. Forlì brings a slightly darker, more militarised aesthetic, and Venice, with its canals and bridges, offer a unique vertical playground unlike any other city. These locations aren't just beautiful backdrops, they feel alive, packed with NPCs going about their daily lives, merchants calling out in the streets, and the citizens reacting to Ezio's presence. Adding to this sense of immersion in the game is the in-game database feature. Not only can you locate historically significant landmarks, but you can also read detailed entries about these locations, the people from the time period, and the events that shaped the era. This feature transforms exploration from a simple sightseeing exercise into a genuinely educational experience, letting players learn whilst they play. It's a brilliant touch that reinforces the connection between the game's fictional narrative and the real Renaissance world it inhabits. The side activities also received a significant expansion in Assassin's Creed 2, going far beyond simple collectibles. Collectibles remain, with 100 feathers being the primary example. Collecting all of them rewards you with both an achievement and a unique item. I won't spoil it so you can decide for yourself whether chasing them down is worth your time. Another collectible, the 330 chests scattered across the world, are less exciting, as they only provide money and offer no additional reward for collecting them all, not even an achievement. While these are more utilitarian, the real appeal comes from the variety of new side content that adds both depth and replayability to the world. One of the most notable additions is the 6 assassin tombs. Hidden throughout Italy, these crypts and temples were constructed by assassins of the past and serve as mini dungeons packed with parkour challenges, puzzles, and even some combat. They highlight Ezio's climbing and free-running abilities in a way that the main story missions don't always allow, offering a pure test of your mastery over the movement system. Completing each tomb rewards you with a seal of the assassins, and collecting all 6 seals and returning them to the villa in Monteregione unlocks Altair's armour, a highly sought after reward and a nod to the fans of the original game. Alongside the assassin tombs are the 3 Templar lairs. These hidden bases located beneath cities such as Florence and Venice require a mix of stealth, combat and exploration. Ezio often has to chase down targets or infiltrate heavily guarded areas, turning these missions into bite-sized adventures that expand the Templars' role in the world. Completing a lair grants money which can be used to purchase weapons, armour and upgrades. While they don't offer a legendary reward like the tombs, they are a great way to enhance your resources while engaging in compelling mini-missions. The game also introduces beat-up missions, a quirky and light-hearted addition. In these, Ezio is hired, usually by a jealous spouse or lover, to track down unfaithful partners and teach them a lesson. These missions are simple but fun, offering a humorous break from the more intense story-driven gameplay. Race challenges are another engaging side activity, where Ezio competes against NPCs through the streets of Florence, Venice and Forlì. These events test your free-running skills, requiring you to navigate rooftops, jump across alleys and use your parkour abilities to beat your opponent's best time. The courier missions further diversify the side content. In these, Ezio takes on the role of a messenger, delivering letters and packages within a time limit. Many of the letters themselves are interesting to read, adding a narrative flavour and small glimpses into the lives of the citizens you serve. Finally, assassination contracts round out the side activities. These missions task Ezio with eliminating specific targets, each requiring a different approach. Some demand stealth and patience, others creativity and improvisation, making each contract feel unique. They reinforce the core assassin gameplay while offering small self-contained stories and challenges that keep the world feeling alive and dangerous. So with all that said, Assassin's Creed 2 is most definitely worth your time. The story is incredible, the characters are memorable, and the side content, whilst not the most fun, is still worth doing at least once for those who want to get the most out of the game. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Thank you for watching, have a great day, and I hope to see you in the next video.